So why do people get illnesses? I know you're saying that if they're not at one with God.
Yep.
So, for instance, if somebody says, all right, they go to the doctor and they find out they've got cancer.
Yep.
Why does that happen?
Each illness has an emotional reason that is different. In other words, there's a soul-based cause. And if I can sort of explain it from a very sort of basic layman's terms initially, and then we can go into the more technical parts of it. From a very basic perspective, every time that we in our soul act or feel out of harmony with love, we are allowing an opening for a disease or a sickness or an illness to occur within our own body. When we are completely in harmony with God's laws of love, there is no way that any illness in our body can actually occur. But each illness has its own emotional signature. It has a reason emotionally why it's being caused. So it depends on what part of the body, what the illness is, and what areas of the body are affected as to what the underlying cause of each specific illness is. But when we become at one with God, and therefore we become perfected in love, there is no openings whatsoever anymore for any illness to occur in our physical body. And so we become immune to everything. So you can think of it. So if you think nowadays, the way we develop immunity generally is we have a sickness, and then our body, over a period of time, builds up a degree of immunity to that particular sickness, depending on the type of sickness it is. But if it's a viral sickness in particular, it will develop generally an immunity if we survive the illness, right? And the immunity is developed as a natural process in our body. What I'm suggesting is that when our soul, our emotional state, is in complete harmony with love, I'm suggesting that we have immunity on every issue, on every physical issue that could occur. So we are completely immune from any physical illness that could potentially develop in our body, and we are also immune from aging as well.
So,
and that's how God created it. So if you think about it, disease is a feedback system telling us that something inside of ourselves is out of harmony with love. That's the feedback system. So every time we enter a disease, a sickness, an illness, a cold, a flu, any physical thing happens to our body, there's something that was out of harmony with love that caused that to occur. And this even applies to things that are caused by external factors, such as insects biting us that carry a disease, for example. The reality is, once we're at one with God, no insect will actually bite us, because we are completely in harmony with all of God's creations.
Get the cough. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know what surprises me the most about people who believe in God is they seem to think that God created an imperfect system and we've all just got to tolerate this imperfect system. But God created a perfect system, and the reality is all we've done as humans is walked away from love, and so we are the ones who've created the imperfection in the system. And the imperfection in the system results in feedback, and part of the feedback is illness and disease and sickness and accidents and all of these kind of things which happen to us, which cause our own distress. They are things that happen to us because we have stepped away from the perfect system God made by our soul becoming more unloving, by our choices, if you like, by the use of our will. We have chosen to become more unloving with ourselves and with each other, and as a result we have now introduced imperfection into the system, and part of the imperfection in the system is the diseases and the illnesses that happen as a result. So our bodies are created to correct every illness. Right inside of our bodies at the moment there are so many diseases that could kill us. But the reality is our own immune system is capable of handling those particular diseases and keeping them away from overcoming our body. And the only reason why that's possible is because we have a certain degree of love left inside of us that allows this to occur. But the more out of harmony with love we become, and usually the older we get, the more out of harmony with love we become, we impose more and more sicknesses and diseases that we cannot any longer fight. And as a result of that, we eventually become overcome by one of these diseases, and usually that's the way in which we die in most occasions. So I feel if most people considered that God only creates, particularly those people who believe in God, consider that God only creates a perfect system, and any imperfection that is in this system that we're living in is the result of our own creations, then we would be far more circumspect about the way in which we use our own will. And one of the main reasons why Mary and I have come to Earth again is to teach people about the unloving and loving use of your own will, because we feel it's one of the most important things humanity needs to understand. If we all understood that we could use our will in complete harmony with love and therefore go back to the perfect system that God created, then there'd be a lot more happiness on the earth, and also I feel a lot less cynicism and a lot less skepticism and all of these other kinds of things that are results of thousands and thousands of years of humanity using its will out of harmony with love.